What's going on, y'all? So this video is hoping not going to be too terribly long, but I figured I would share my testimony with y'all so that y'all have an understanding of kind of who I am, what I've made it through in my life, and why I believe what I believe. So we kind of start towards the beginning of my life. So I grew up with good parents. Took me to church all the time. I spent pretty much my whole entire life in church. I grew up Southern Baptist, and it didn't stick. So, needless to say, I made it from kindergarten all the way to I think middle school is when I started to kind of show the more rambunctious side of me. I was hanging with the wrong crowd. I was doing things I should not have been doing. I got involved with, we'll call them party favors. I did not, I did not think that I was doing any harm to anybody, but I was doing harm to myself for sure. The idea of going to church did not interest me at all when I was in my earlier years. Probably, I would say, late middle school, early high school was kind of when that kicked into play. Now, I did grow up working with my dad. I grew up working with my grandfathers. I grew up working with my hands. Didn't matter if it was hot, cold. I worked. I did not have the luxury of just sitting around and doing nothing, if you know what I mean. So the idea of I was in control of my life became very precedent when I was younger. I got involved with drugs. I got involved with alcohol. I was smoking cigarettes and various other things until I believe it was until my freshman year of high school. That's when my mom, she busted me with some party favors, we'll call them, and it broke her. It broke her, and it broke me. I love my mom to death. There's not very much on this planet that I would not do for her, but it sent her flying in a tizzy, and it essentially broke me. So this was the first time that I turned back to God and actually found God. I was in a bad spot. I felt empty. I felt hopeless. I felt worthless. And there was one of the times in my life where I felt like, man, I have screwed up royally. Joke's on me. It's not the first time that it's going to happen. But I turned back to Christ, and until I graduated high school, I actually was very devoted. I was in church. I volunteered for different ventures through the church, went on mission trips. I did all the things. I checked all the boxes as a high school church-going kid. So that was great. And then the next chapter comes around, and I go to college. I went to a college that was notorious for partying, and I thought I would be able to control myself and my urges and control everything. I was going to be, I was going to see it as a mission. That mission failed horribly. I mean, crash and burn horribly. So I get into college. My first year, I have completely stopped going to church unless I was at home. Whenever I came home, I would go to church with my parents. But other than that, I wasn't going to church. I was a regular at 3 different bars, and this is all before the age of 21. I was doing everything that I did before I got caught by my mom. Again, I had completely fallen back into that trap. And I did it for roughly, let's just say I did it past college. I did all the things that I wasn't supposed to do in college. I drank, I did drugs, I did premarital stuff, you name it, pretty much I did it. Am I proud of it? Absolutely not. But it was, again, one of those times where I thought I was in control. I can control myself. Joke's on me. I could not. So, moving forward, we move up to about 2018, and I believe it was 2018. Anyway, I get busted for a Dewey, if you know what that is. It is a DUI. I had been partying all day. Went from a wedding to a reception to a bar to another bar to another bar, and at this point in time, I drove a 6-liter Power Stroke that I had done a lot of work to and did all the fun things with. But because of doing a donut in a empty parking lot, I got arrested. And while I was arrested, I thought, I'm in control. I'll figure this out. I always do. While I was in jail, I was in jail until Sunday night. So I got arrested roughly, it was a Sunday morning. And I mean, when I say Sunday morning, I mean like 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Got arrested in the morning, stayed in jail. A pastor that does, like, I'm guessing he does like prison or jail missions. He came and he preached. To be honest with you, I didn't hear a single word he said. But God was stirring in me, and he was completely destroying walls, and he was just breaking me down. And at that point in time, I knew for a majority of my life, what I thought I was in control of, I wasn't. Everything that I thought I knew, I didn't. And the idea that I could get away with anything had finally caught up with me. So for me, that was one of the lower points in my life. I realized that I needed to get my act together. I needed to figure things out, and I needed to get back into a church. So we kind of fast forward a little bit. At this point, I moved back in with my parents, and I started going to a local church. The church I was going to was, ironically, it was in the building of where I had worked when I was in high school. And I worked at a Best Buy. And after so many years of being away, Obviously, that Best Buy had moved, but the building was still there, and this church had moved into that building. If you want to know more about that church, you can send me a message or comment below, and I'd be happy to tell you which church it is. You can find it online. You can watch the services online. But anyway, I get out of jail. I do my probation. I do all the community service, the classes, all that kind of stuff, and I get back into church. And this is the point where I think for sure I got it figured out this time. I didn't. So at this point, I am still living with my parents. I am working a job as a mechanic. And if you've ever worked in a dealership, I'm not sure if it's the same way now, but when I was working in a dealership, they had a bad habit of hiring too many technicians. So you would basically, there wasn't enough work to feed everybody. And the place I was at, it was like that. So I decided I'm going to go back to school, learn another trade, and I'm going to pick up welding. Because I figured, hey, what's better than having one trade under my belt? Having two or three. So I went back to school. So I was working 40, 50 hours a week and going to school at nights. So I was literally burning the candle at both ends. Excuse me. I thought I could handle it. I thought I can handle this. I am in control. Once again, I got it. There is nothing that's going to stop me from doing this. Well, part of that is true. Nothing did stop me from doing it. However, while I was doing that and burning the candle at both ends, and I was getting maybe, I don't know, a couple hours of sleep every single night, it started to eat away at me. And it came to a point where, looking in hindsight, obviously, you know, things are always better in hindsight, but in the moment, I felt like I was spinning my wheels and I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't making a lot of money at my job. I was still going to school, and it felt like I was just drowning. I felt like I couldn't get ahead. I was in debt. I had, you know, student loans, all the other things. But it just felt like I was drowning. Like I could not get ahead. And it was so bad that it got to a point that I thought the best way out was my way out. If you know what I mean. I drove my truck out into a field, and I thought that, you know, essentially doing the deed would be my solution. But thank God. I thank God for his hands, and thank God for good people. You see, I'm an only child, and I have a few friends. Ironically, most of them are also only children, so we kind of look out for each other as siblings. I call them my brothers. They call me their brother. But I remember it was late. It was well after midnight, and I just remember sitting in my truck in this field and just thinking, I'm tired. I am exhausted. I have nothing left to give. I have done everything I can to get ahead, and I can't. So my phone was in my lap, and just I could feel something just calling, just tugging. And I picked up my phone, tried calling one of my brothers. He didn't answer, to be expected. He was asleep. So I called another one, and he answered. He told me everything was going to be okay, and don't make a temporary problem be nailed shut with a permanent solution. And he was right. Everything I was going through was just that, a temporary problem. But I was so tired, I was so exhausted, I was so burnt out that I just couldn't see it. I was over it. But thank God that he intervened when he did. I know for a fact that I am better off with trials and tribulations and hard times than I am with nailing the book shut with a bullet. So, continuing forward, I really kind of jump into my faith here, and I am active in church. I am volunteering. I am doing whatever I can to help. And on top of that, I am trying to bring people with me, trying to bring people to church, bring people to Christ. There's one little problem. You see, I had a lot of issues with, we'll call it problems. I'm not going to really go into it because of the fact that I don't want this to get taken down. But I had an addiction, and not to drugs, not to alcohol, to something else. We'll call it the sin of the flesh. I had an addiction to that. And to this day, I am still fighting like hell every day. But the difference being is I feel like God said, hey, enough's enough. You are this many years old, and you still have this problem. Mind you, this started when I was a kid. And I've hid it from everybody. I've hid it from my friends. I've hid it from my wife. I've hid it from everybody. But I have made it a point to find a way out, because when God says, I will help you, he will. Now, you may not like how that help comes, because sometimes it sucks so bad. So don't think that I know everything that God is doing in my life. I don't. The only thing I can do is kind of theorize or hypothesize, really. So I was working at a job, making really good money, and I had finally gotten promoted, making really good money, and I felt like I made it. I got it. There's nothing that can happen that can take this away. Boy, was I wrong. So I had, again, been making poor decisions over and over again. And it finally came the day where I think, like I said, I'm hypothesizing, I think God said, I'm done. You are going to fix yourself because I'm tired of you doing this. And he took my job away, and he took my safety net away. And so I found another job. Got into that same job, making vastly less amount of money. And he took that one away too. I got laid off because I'm pretty sure the owner of that company bit off more than he could chew with the number of employees he had and not enough work. But the only thing that kept playing in my mind at this point in time was, I gave it all to you. I can take it all away from you. And at that point in time, I knew I needed to get my act together. That's kind of what started this whole thing. So I had always known that I needed to do something. I always knew that I could always feel God saying, you need to share. So I figured, why not share it this way? My life has never been really easy, and I've never taken the easy way to do anything, to be honest. I've always kind of learned everything the hard way, like I'm sure most of you have as well. But the point of my story is that no matter what you think you can do, if it's not for God and it's not in His plan for your life, it's not going to work. It may work for a short amount of time, but I promise you it won't work forever. He will fix your path. If He has a plan for you, like I know He does, you need to understand, and you need to pay attention. You need to look at everything that God is putting in front of you, whether it be people or purpose or jobs or whatever the case may be. Whatever is put in front of you, you need to ask yourself, what kind of lesson can I learn from this? And what is God trying to tell me? Maybe He's telling you that this person needs help. Or maybe He's telling you, hey, maybe don't charge so much on this job. Help out a small business. Or He's asking, hey, be kind to your coworker. Yes, you may think that they are a complete and total idiot, but God still loves them the same. He doesn't love you more than anybody else. He loves every single one of us equally. So I know this kind of went off track, but that's my testimony. Everybody has their own testimony. Some of you have done great things. Some of you have done horrible things. Some of you have done nothing at all. But that doesn't mean that you're any different. God loves you the same. He has a plan for your life. He has a wonderful path for you to follow. Now, it may not be an easy path, but I promise you it won't be boring. You just got to trust. It's really what it comes down to. Take the leap of faith. If you have depression, if you have anxiety, I promise you that God can help. I promise. Reading His Word can give you so much comfort. And I hope that you can find that. Either through this channel, through another channel, whatever the case. I hope that you can find that comfort. And if any of you ever have any kind of ideas of trying to nail shut your story by making a permanent solution for a temporary problem, please know that you're not alone. I promise you, you're not. There are people willing to help you. If not me, somebody else. But if you have that problem, please reach out to me. I will help any way I can. If you need someone to talk to, I promise you, you're not alone. I have seen my fair share of downtrodden times. I may not have seen yours, but I promise you we can work through it together. So, with all of that being said, I appreciate y'all, and I hope that my testimony can help you understand that there is hope. Even in the darkest places, there is still hope. Even in the hardest times, there is still hope. You just got to have a little bit of faith. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. And we'll close out with, for God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.